Hi, everybody. This is my other's keeper. Um, I just want to welcome you today and thank you so much for coming with us on this journey. I'm going to be talking to my friend Sam, Samara, and we're going to be talking about how diabetes has significantly affected both her physical and mental health her entire life. And she has a really fascinating story. So I don't know how long we're going to take today, but we will stay as long as we need to. Please feel free to comment. We will be looking at the live chat just to see if you have any questions or anything like that. Don't forget to like, uh, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell for all alerts. Apparently, I need to change my screen. Okay. Yes, hit the bell for all alerts. And with no further ado, here we have Samara. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Hi. So, what were you up to today?
I went to the field house today for my gym
Ah,
program.
okay, okay. And why do you take your a gym program?
So I go to the field house 3 times a week, and I am we it's a program set up for people with different kinds of health conditions and stuff. So I qualify under both diabetes and, well, I guess under three things: diabetes, my transplant, and my amputation. And it's to help you get better health, basically, and it's helping with my mobility. And ironically, they have put me in the program with the cardiac group because it is, which ironically is one of the only things I don't have wrong with me, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Um, but it is the program that always has a doctor on staff at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And what I just recently found out is this is kind of their down week when the doctors are with us because they are normally either ER doctors or the STARS doctors.
Oh, okay. So the
So this
STARS
is,
air ambulance doctors, when they're
yes,
not flying, they get
right.
to do
They
this.
do a week at that, a week with us, and then a week off, I believe, is how their schedules go. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
So we're
cool.
their chill week. Their quote unquote chill week.
Right. Okay. So you're wondering why Sam's moving around a bit. She doesn't have
Sorry.
a tripod, and I'm on my laptop. So when I had to change the angle, this is new for us.
Tripod is
So
on the way.
tripod is on the way, and it's for you have to get a tripod. Tripod. Is it just for your phone or is it for your iPad as well?
No, this is just for my phone.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
my phone's my best and newest technology, so
Yeah. Yeah,
it's the best
I have a
option.
great not an iPod. I have a great tripod for my phone. I've been using it for, oh gracious, a very long time, to do my Zoom calls and that kind of stuff with the partnership program, and whenever I have to do anything that requires, holding it for a long time. Otherwise, I get very shaky, and
Yeah,
it's
you'll see that later.
we'll see how it
I'm
goes.
I'm not having a heart attack, a stroke, or a seizure. My arms are tired.
That works. Okay, so let's talk about your life with diabetes. How old were you when you found out that you had diabetes?
So my dad was a type 1 diabetic, and my mom realized very early that I was starting to show symptoms of diabetes as well. So at 3.5, my mom phoned my doctor and said, I think she's got this. And he said, yeah, well, you'd know the signs. Take her to the hospital, get her checked. And so we trekked to the hospital at 8 o'clock in the morning because you have to do all the tests with no food in your system or anything. So think about this:
Yeah.
3.5-year-old, no food. Let's go to the hospital at 8 a.m. We were still at the hospital at 6:30 that night when my doctor came to do his rounds because they didn't believe my mama wouldn't test me. So
No.
once my family doctor came in, things got moving and they finally did the tests. But they
For
wouldn't let
sure.
us go home, but they wouldn't do the
Oh
test.
no,
So
that is
yeah.
so smart. I love the brilliance of the healthcare system
Yeah.
back in, what was it, the 70s yet still that would have been, right?
No, that would have been early 80s.
Okay. Oh,
Well,
yeah, you're
no,
young.
no,
You're a
no,
child.
very late 70s. You're right, late
Okay.
70s, late
Okay.
70s.
Yeah, you're a few years younger than me, but yeah.
So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
79, 80, somewhere there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in grade 3, so very early 80s, um, I had tonsillitis so many times that they were waiting for me not to be sick in order to give me surgery. So my mom, I got
Yay.
sick this one last time and she took me to the ER. She sat with me on her lap and she's like, "I am not leaving here until she has surgery."
Well,
Simple
and
as
that's
that.
it. You shouldn't have to get to that level. And that's like
No,
my mom kept saying, "My husband has this. I know these symptoms. Do
I
the
know what
test."
it
I
looks
talked
like.
to the family doctor and yeah,
Yeah.
so when he walked in, he's like, "What are you still doing here?"
Yeah.
Mom's like, "They won't do the test." He's like, "Oh, they'll do the test now."
Oh, yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, within like
Absolutely.
10 minutes, they were starting the test. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah. I
great
was in
fun.
about I was about the same age, and they did a glucose tolerance test on me. So, is that essentially what you had? Like, what they
Probably.
did with me was well, it was a full day. It wasn't just like a test. It
Oh,
was a
yeah.
full
Yeah,
day of
no, that's
testing.
probably what it was. That was probably the best thing they had at that point.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't remember. I was 3 and a half. I don't
Oh, I
know.
remember very well. It was very painful. Lots and lots of pokes in the arm, and they didn't do anything like just put an IV port kind of thing in your arm and then just retake. They would have
No,
to
they they
puncture you
they
every time.
they can't do blood work that way.
They can't? Like, not
No.
even now?
Not through an IV, no. No, they can put in a hemocath or like sorry, they can put in a PICC line or they
Right?
can put in like a permanent port and stuff, but those involve trips to like imaging and it's a big thing.
Oh, okay.
I have
I was
many
just
scars
thinking
from those.
I can imagine. I was thinking like when they do blood work on me, they have this needle that goes into my arm, and then it has like a little tube, and then they can
Yeah,
just put in new tubes.
yeah.
So I was wondering if that's
That's
not the
that's
way it
kind of
goes?
that's kind of what a PICC line's like.
Oh,
But
okay.
for the PICC line, they put it in and they do it in your upper arm, kind of on the inside, and then the tube runs up, so it runs up into your upper part of your chest, if I remember right. It's been a little while.
Okay. Yeah,
Been a
it's
been a
yeah.
while
When
since
was
I
the
picked
last
up
time
one.
you had a PIC line?
Uh, probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
That is
So,
a while, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I now know that I cannot get another PICC line or anything like that in my right arm because it has got too much scar tissue from PICC lines in my hemocath. My
Oh my
hemocath was for
goodness.
dialysis, so
Wow, okay. So let's move forward from when you were 3. They decided that you had diabetes,
yep, type
and
1.
what changed?
Mm.
Type
Um,
1.
to be
What changed?
fair, for me, not a lot changed because of my dad being a diabetic. We already ate healthy. Um, for me, nothing really changed at that early age. What
Okay.
changed was more for my mom and my grandparents, which had to learn how to do insulin needles.
Oh,
'Cause I was
yeah.
too little to do needles, so they had to learn how to do needles. And because I spent almost more time with my grandparents than I did with my mom because of her jobs and stuff at the time, my grandma had to learn how to do them too, so and
And they weren't the
then
little itty bitty teeny weeny needles that they are today, were they?
no, no, they were longer.
Oh,
They were
yuck.
longer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least I was lucky. It wasn't like my dad who, like, when he was diagnosed, they were using, like, glass re-sterilizing needles. They had to re-sterilize them and stuff, so, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But something that a lot of people don't know because 'cause they're like, "Oh, you're a diabetic since you're a kid, blood tests all your life growing up." No, 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 no. When I was diagnosed, they didn't have the finger poke blood tests.
So what
We
did you
did
do?
we did urine tests. So
Urine
you did a
tests.
urine test, and you had, like, a
So
little glass tube that you poured that into, and then you dropped this
oh,
little fizzy tablet in, and it fizzed up and got really, really hot. You had to put the tube in a stand or you'd burn your fingers, and then
wow.
it changed color according to, I guess it was the sugar in your urine probably.
Makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I do have, yeah, when I get tested, I also have diabetes, but I have type 2.
Yeah.
So when I get tested, they do test my kidney function, and they
Yep.
use the urinalysis for
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Which
So
now
would
they can do that during with your regular blood work. So
right, right.
yeah.
So you'd have to do that testing. I bet it's like sit Samara on the potty and go, "Okay, Sammy, let's pee now."
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah, let me
yay.
tell you, I would never, thank God, was not one of those children that it was like, gotta run water to make you go pee, because we would have had water constantly running in our house, I think.
Oh, wow.
So I
Oh,
learned.
man.
I
Okay.
learned.
Yeah.
It was just what you did. And it wasn't until I
Yeah.
was 6 in my first year at diabetes camp that we just started doing the finger pokes.
Diabetes camp. Tell me about diabetes camp.
So,
That sounds
um, it was
fun.
awesome. No,
Oh,
it
was
really
it?
was. It was awesome.
Hmm.
So, I went to camp at
Mhm.
Camp Easter Seal, which was out at the Watchers at Manitou Beach, and it was through the Abilities Council. And I started to go at age 6 until the year I was 14. And they are who taught me how to do my needles. They are who taught us how to do the finger poke blood tests. We talked about diet, like we did normal camp activities, like we got to go out in the barge on the lake, we got to go horseback riding, we got to do arts and crafts and all that kind of stuff, and sports and stuff like that. But we also had a time several times through the week where we went and spent time with the nurses and the dietitians and the diabetic doctors and stuff like that to learn stuff about our diseases.
Okay,
So,
and was everybody there diabetic then? It wasn't like a
um,
multi-disease
in our
camp?
cabin, which usually had
Oh.
about 7 or 8 people, if I remember right, all of us except for one were no, two, except for two were diabetics. We had one girl who had CF, and we had one person who was hemophiliac.
Oh, so CF is cystic fibrosis.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so it was the camp wasn't just for people with
It
diabetes, it
was
was for
it
multiple.
was primarily a diabetes camp, but it was their children's camp they had run, which I actually know more about now because I was a CIT for a year out there.
Oh, okay, okay. All right,
So
we'll get to that part.
that was kids week.
That was Kids Week.
That was
Okay.
kids week.
Oh, that's fun.
And
So
it
you
was
got to
fun
do
because that was my only chance to get to go to camp, because I couldn't go to normal camp because I might have a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar, and nobody would know what to do with that.
for sure. Yeah.
So it was camp that I got to go to. And I don't know how my mom did it, but she got funding somehow. So yay, mom.
Nice. Yay.
Yay, mom.
And in the Canadian health system, it is just so nice to be able to have, like, I know camp wouldn't be paid for, but our health care is essentially paid for. So
Yes.
you don't have to pay for doctor's visits. You do have to pay for your insulin and your testing strips and all of that other stuff generally, unless you're on a specific program that you
Yeah,
don't or have specific insurance. Is that right?
correct.
Okay. Okay.
Luckily, I'm gimped enough that mine are covered.
I'm not. But mine, I do have good
It's
insurance, like
not a
between
good
mine.
trade-off. It's
No,
not a good trade-off at all.
don't imagine it would be.
Do not make this a life goal. I want to have more health problems so my meds are covered. Because if I weren't this messed up, I wouldn't need most of my meds.
All right, all right. Well, speaking of meds, how many meds are you on in a day?
Oh, latest count, I think I have 14 or 15 different medications, I think. I don't know. I don't keep track. I just take them.
Okay.
I don't count the numbers. That gets too sad.
Well, I take 14 different medications and I just keep track of
Yeah.
the number. I don't keep track of what they are because
Yeah.
when the pharmacist said, "Is this everything?" I was like, "Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." Because I get mine pre-packaged. I do
Yeah.
mine in the bubble pack.
Yeah.
I do not have the brain space to remember to do little
Yeah. And see,
daily
I
things.
can't do the bubble packs because from experience, I know the bubble packs don't work, because the minute they change a dose on something, which can happen on anytime I go for blood work, then my bubble packs are all useless, and yeah. So I
Okay.
literally have all my bottles, and I put them in my own pill trays, which is a
Oh.
7-day, 4 times a day tray,
Oh, yuck.
which was actually part of our we got taught how all to do that when I was in Edmonton for my transplant. That is part of your transplant
Okay.
program. Until then, I was just kinda bumbling my way through it every day.
Oh my
So, I
goodness.
learned new skills of organization from my transplant. So, hey, yay!
Yay! Oh, I'm just scratching everywhere. It's like I'm on morphine or something. Gracious. The fact that I know what that's like is it says something.
That says something, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does. Yeah,
I
gallbladder.
know
Woohoo!
I
Don't
I
have
know
it.
that one too, yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, that's a recent one that I had, not
Oh, okay.
mm.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
had my gallbladder. I've had surgery enough times that there's absolutely nothing left that isn't 100% needed for I have, I guess, 2 kidneys. So I do have 1 extra kidney. But,
no,
otherwise
you don't have
I
an extra kidney. I have an extra kidney.
you have an extra kidney. Yes, you do. Okay, good point. Yeah,
You have
we
2. You have 2. I have 3. Or for
ooh,
those 3, or for those of us with ASL, I guess 3, so for that's, like,
yeah.
backwards, 3.
And that's actually how Sam and I met. We met learning ASL, which was a lot of fun.
And
So,
I don't
yeah.
remember most of it.
Oh, don't you? Okay, I remember quite a bit of it.
Teresa Teresa, one of the ladies from the field house, is, like, kicking my butt and trying to make me remember because 'cause I'm the only person who knows any of it. So she signs to me and then she's like, "Did you catch that?" I'm like, "Yeah, 3 words of it." Um, yeah, okay.
Yeah, see, I'm very slow still. Like, I
Yeah,
can sign faster than than I can read.
yeah,
You know, my understanding is not quite as good.
yeah,
So, yeah, but that's because 'cause I'm used to in my brain doing the output. I'm not used to seeing it.
yeah,
But because I understand the output, I think that, it wouldn't take a whole lot of muscle memory, I guess, brain muscle to figure
I
out
like
how
that.
to do that.
I'm going with the brain muscle.
The brain muscle, yes.
It's a muscle, isn't it?
No, it's gray matter.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good point. Well,
Yeah.
let's call it a muscle because then it proves that I have some muscle.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm going with that. I'm sticking with
Okay,
it, and that's all there is to it.
that
Yeah,
works. That
yeah.
works. Okay. So you're 3 years old, you're getting shots. How did you react to getting shot so young? I don't imagine that would have been a very happy thing.
It's something I had to do. That's
Yeah.
kinda like I've had a lot of people like, "How can you do needles?" Well, I do needles or I die.
Yes.
It's not really a choice. Well, I mean, I guess it is a choice, but not really a choice you get when you're 3 and a half.
No, no, you sure don't.
You do it.
Yeah,
You do it.
yeah.
That's
Actually, one of my daughters diabetes runs so firmly in my family on my dad's side as well as my mom's side. And, so I was talking to one of my daughters, and she hates needles, like, to the point that she starts shaking. She needs medications just to handle the idea of a needle. And, so she can get blood drawn, but she has to watch it being done. She can't just have it drawn and look at what the doctors or the nurses are all like, "No, look away. No, 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 no. I have to watch you do it." So that
yeah.
it's like she can verify that it's going well,
Well,
kind of
and I
thing.
know, like, one of the girls I went to camp with had been terrified of needles, but she said she still can't watch somebody else do a needle, but it's different when that means you stay alive.
For
And
sure.
she learned that, I can't watch people doing needles and stuff, but she's like, "I know I have to do this, so that's all there is to it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
No.
last year of camp, we had to help the little kids learn how to do needles. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
But at
"I
least they're
can't
the
do this.
teeny weeny
I
needles
can't watch."
now.
It's like, I can't watch somebody else do needles. I can't do this.
Really?
It was
Okay.
really bizarre. Yeah.
I'm sadistic. I can watch anybody do needles. No
Oh,
problem.
you would get along really well with my one nurse.
Okay.
I had one
That's
nurse
good.
who she's like, you have to do a gas test. I'm like, oh, those ones really hurt. She's like, I love doing the gas test. I'm like, so you love causing people pain? Like,
Okay, so what's a gas test?
a gas test is they're checking the blood gases, which I don't exactly 100% know and understand, but they
Mm-hmm.
do it right from the inside of your wrist, and it's a big long needle, and it really hurts. Like, I've had it done many times, and I've only had once that it didn't hurt as bad, and, like, you instantly bruise, like,
Wow.
instantly, and they have to, like, take it and shove it in ice and take it right to the lab, like, immediately, and, yeah, they're checking blood gases
Blood
test, I don't know what that is.
gases.
Any nurses out there or doctors, please feel free to.
Yeah, phlebotomists. I like phlebotomy. I just love the
Yeah,
word phlebotomy. Anyway,
it's a cool word. It
it's a
really is a
cool
cool
word.
word. It is a cool word.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, lots of blood work. I thought I had a lot of blood work before, but let me tell you, after transplant, that's a whole new ball of wax.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The
That's
pre-blood work for transplant was insane. They did 28 tubes at once.
whoa. That's like
Yeah.
a half an hour just of tubes.
Well, and by this point, the diabetes has affected, like, my veins and stuff are not so good. So that's quite a
Mm.
struggle. So when they did it here, I was going to dialysis, so they took it out of my hemocath port. So that
Okay.
was easy. But then when we went to Edmonton, they had to redo my blood work because Edmonton doesn't really trust Saskatoon. I'm just gonna say that. They really don't. Like, apparently we don't do things right. I don't know. So they had to redo the blood work I'd done like 2 days previous. And they did it, how everybody gets their blood work done by jabbing you in the arm. And it took them like 5 or 6 locations to try to get me to bleed enough to get all those tubes. It was great fun.
Wow. Yeah,
I
with the
walked
amount of
in and I was
needles
just like, "I'm so sorry. Good luck."
you've taken over the years in your veins,
I should
I
be a
can't
really good
imagine.
sprinkler system.
Just everywhere.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
should. Yeah.
Wow.
I used to, as a child, because I was so good at needles, I was the person they used to teach people and let people practice how to do IV starts and how to do, like, blood draws and stuff on me because I was such an easy poke. Yeah, I am now the person they use as the, "Here's a difficult one, good luck.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to learn how to do difficult people too." So,
Absolutely, and they don't just mean with your attitude, I mean, like that, you're nasty, what can I say? You're just difficult to deal with, but,
yeah, that's what I'm
that's
known for. Not at
yeah,
all.
I can see that, it's something I can tell. I can
I
smell it.
mean, yes, most of the people staff at the hospital, like the maintenance and the housekeepers and, like, most of the nurses do know me, but it's not because of that.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's because of living there and being a
Yeah,
nice person.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
3
No,
years of
it's
my
nice
life.
when you're known to be the nice person, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is, it
Yeah,
is. And they're much more happy to answer your bell when you ring and stuff when you're the nice person. They don't go, "Ugh."
yeah, oh, it's her again. Oh, your
Yeah,
turn, I don't wanna do it.
though I've had that person as a roommate many times.
Oh.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we'll put Sam with that one. She'll put up with it. Just
Yeah.
oh,
The
man.
the the
Wow.
worst person I have ever had as a roommate, I, like, literally wanted to throw a party when he finally left, and then they moved this sweet little old lady in with me who was just awesome, and then, like, a day late like, half a day later, they're moving her out, and they're like, "Well, you have a new roommate, we have to move in." I'm like, "But she was here, why are we moving?" "Well, the person who's coming in requested you as a roommate." "Well, actually, the family did." I'm like, "What?
You're
Like, who
famous.
who is this? Who is this new roommate?" Yeah, it was the guy who had just left that was the biggest jerk ever. But
Oh,
the
and you're
family
probably the
really
only
liked me and, like,
person.
me, like, talking with me, and they're like, "He's gonna be a jerk no matter where he is, at least you're used to his jerk." I'm like,
That's right, yeah. Yeah, they know you're gonna put up with it to a degree. I mean, you're not gonna let yourself be abused, but,
oh,
just
he was yeah, like, nightmare patient, like, "Oh, they didn't bring me a urinal fast enough, I'll just pee on the floor."
oh, yeah.
Or the nurse just was grumpy to me when she handed it to me, so I'll just pee on the floor.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah, he was awful.
Wow.
He was awful. He was really grumpy,
How long did
little.
to live with him?
I think I was with him for about 3 weeks.
It feels like forever though, doesn't it?
It felt like months.
Yeah.
Really. But
Yeah.
I've also had some amazing roommates too. I
Okay.
actually ironically, this one lady, this little old lady, I think she was like 96 or 97 or something, like, she was really old, and she kept
Right.
saying that her daughter and son-in-law were coming to visit, and they're the nicest people, and they're really into theater, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I know who they." Yeah, I did know who they were.
Oh, were they
Her
nice?
daughter was the lady who did our costuming, was one of the costume
Oh.
ladies from Gateway, so I knew her
Wo
quite well, actually, so we had some great chats while their mom was sleeping.
So, then tell us about your time with Gateway. Gateway, Players, is that right? Gateway
Yeah.
Theater?
I was not with Gateway very long. I did, I think I was part of 2 shows for Gateway, maybe only 1. I
Mhm,
originally kinda went into that because I did children's theater with Gateway, so I did a couple children's theater Gateway shows, um, and then I did a summer players show, which is a separate company, but use a lot of the same people.
mhm,
And they use the same rehearsal space. And then
mhm.
I got asked to be a producer for a Gateway show, and I was like, I don't know what a producer does." And I got handed this giant binder saying, "Well, here's what a producer does. I will help you." Because it was one of the gentlemen who had been a producer for years, and he wanted
Okay.
to retire. So
And he needs to train somebody he trusts, right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
he did like the
absolutely.
hard stuff. He did all of the like media stuff and all the interviews with the TV stations and stuff. And I mean, he
Mhm,
did a lot of it. I did a lot more like the on the groundwork kind of thing. Like I was the one who dealt with the guy who built the set, and which was the producer I was working with was Al Ritchie. The stage guy, oh, why can I not think of his name? Can't think of his name at the moment. But he was the guy who built all the sets and stuff. And he said, "Okay, now I want you to pay careful attention." He's walking around with one day and he goes, "Okay, this is how I number all the flats as I'm building stuff and everything." And he goes, "You got that all?" And you made notes of that? I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Good, because I'm going on holidays when we move to gate over to the theater. And you're on your own for getting it set up in the theater over
Oh,
at."
thanks.
And I'm like, "I'm what?" He's "You're the one who has to get it all set up right over like, you're in charge of the takedown and the setup." I'm like, "Okay." And of
That's
course, we got it over there and start setting it up, and sight lines weren't right, and we had to make changes to the construction, and I was, like, wanting to cry. It was great fun.
yeah.
But
Oh, for
that was
sure.
that was back in more mobile days, so I was up on ladders with cordless screwdrivers and, "Okay, we need to angle this," and yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was
Wow.
really I had a couple years where I was doing a children's the one year I was doing a children's theater through Gateway,
Mhm.
a children's theater through Off Broadway, stage managing a show at Off Broadway, doing the producing part for the Gateway show, as well as having a line in it because they needed somebody and helping backstage with props and costumes.
Wow. Wow.
And I was also doing and directing and in the show at our church.
Okay. Wow.
So I had kind of like this 6-month period of just like, don't talk to me. I'm somewhere rehearsing.
Yeah, just insanity.
Yeah, which
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I loved it. It was awesome. And I miss it now.
Yeah,
I miss it a
I can
lot.
imagine.
I
Yeah.
miss it a lot. But I do not
You're
have the mobility to do it now. So
well, you would have the
working
mobility
on it.
to play certain parts, but probably
Um,
not to do all the running around that you did for sure.
well, part of the thing is most theater groups, there's a lot of like stairs and stuff because you've got to get from backstage and front stage and where you're changing and
Right.
stuff like that. So right
Right.
now, no, stairs are my enemy. They're like my mortal enemy right now.
Absolutely.
They're getting
Absolutely.
easier, but they're still a mortal enemy.
Yeah. No, stairs are yeah. We're going to discuss another time about why stairs are her mortal enemy. She had a lower leg amputation a few years ago. So we're going to discuss a little bit more about that later
In
on.
combination with the nerve damage in the other leg.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will talk about that though. So with all of your theater experience, um, what how has that translated into your life? Because you've got a lot of really cool experience, great contacts.
I do. I do. Um, yeah, through theater I've met so many people in so many like different areas. Like I know electricians and I know teachers and I know, yeah, like just all kinds of things. It's great and it's come in very handy. Very
Hmm.
handy. Like, where do I get a 150-foot long extension cord? I'll phone Roger.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Roger, where do I get this 150-foot long extension cord? And he's like, why do you need that? And he's like, I'll just make you one.
I'll just
So
make you a 150-foot
yeah,
extension.
he's like, you'll pay too much to buy one. I'll make you one and it'll be better. And yeah. And he charges
Okay.
low fees, like the cost of his material and usually like a 6-pack of beer or
Yeah.
or a bottle of some kind of brandy or something. And I'm like, still cheaper than, you know, when I went to the store and that was going to be like a $200 cord. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like a really long, that would be the kind on the spool, right? You'd have to roll
Well,
out on a
mine wasn't
spool.
on a spool, but yeah, like, and it had to be for winter because it was to plug my car in. So it had to be a
Mm,
really thick, heavy gate. It's a weightlifting experience having to move that sucker around.
I can imagine.
It's very heavy. It's very heavy.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, I've met lots of people. And it just kind of goes from one thing to the next. Like I started out doing stuff at my church, doing dinner theaters at my church. And it was actually through somebody that we got coming to play because we needed somebody my age to play my husband because we only had people who were like 60 and 70 and that just didn't look right when you're 17. Um
Ooh.
yeah, yeah.
Just ask
So
Jeffrey Epstein, right?
yeah.
Sorry, probably
So
shouldn't say that name.
um no, it's funny because like ironically, the very first time I kissed a boy was when I was like, I don't know, 15 on stage. And the person was the younger brother to a person my mom dated in high school.
Oh, that's
Just to
not
give you the
awkward.
just to give you that age gap. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
awkward at all. Oh
Not
my
at all.
word.
Not at all. No, no.
Please tell
But
me he was
he
at least 15 years younger, right? He was like really
no,
younger.
no, he was like
No?
a year or two younger than my mom. Yeah. It was awesome.
Mm,
Yeah, it was awesome.
that's
And the brother was
disgusting.
also in the show. So it was kind of a big joke. Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
Keep it
Yeah.
all in the family, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
and then it was
terrible.
funny because a couple years later when I started doing summer players, my dance partner walks in and he's like, "Hey, my name is such and such." And I'm like, "Wait, are you related to this person?" He goes, "Yeah, that's my dad." I'm like, "Oh Lord." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I was in a show with your dad." He's like, "You're the one who kissed my dad."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and the kid, might I add, was a year younger than me. Mhm, yeah.
Ooh.
So it was funny.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was awkward, but it was fun.
No
It's
doubt.
theater. It gets kinda just blown off on the side. It's
Oh,
theater.
for sure. Yeah, it's like being naked in front of people. You just
Yeah,
kinda have to go switch costumes and just
yeah.
don't worry about it, and
You don't have
yeah.
time to think about it. Like, I had to explain that to my boyfriend at the time because he's like, "So you're changing costumes 16 times during this show, and Steve is helping you with that?" I'm like, "Look, we don't have time to look at anything. It's literally he's handing me things and I'm putting things on." And yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool. Steve's okay. I'm good with that."
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice when you have a boyfriend who trusts. I
Yeah.
had a boyfriend who certainly didn't, and I was very trustworthy
Yeah.
until he quit trusting me, in which
Yeah.
case it's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna take the blame for something I'm not doing." So then I lived down to his expectations. So that's
Yeah.
another story for another day.
Yeah.
But
Another story. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I got to meet a lot of people, and I have met through some of my hobbies some very interesting people. Like, um, when I first found out I had kidney problems, thank you, diabetes.
Mhm.
Um, I at the time was playing a lot of Warcraft, World of Warcraft on the computer.
Mhm.
And I got pulled out of chat one day into a private chat by our guild leader, and he's like, "Well, do you need a transplant?" I said, "Well, not now, but eventually in the future, probably." He's like, "Well, when that time comes," he's like, "we have the best transplant surgeon in North America works at my hospital. I'm his one of his surgical nurses." He's like, "You come down here, we'll take care of you. We'll make it
Where was he
happen."
from?
Texas. I didn't even know
Oh,
his real name at that point.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm probably not gonna go to Texas for transplant because that would cost
A lot.
a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
ironically though, that surgeon is who is my surgeon.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Everybody kept
Okay.
saying, "You get Dr. Shapiro? Oh my god, you don't know how awesome he is." I'm like, "Sure, whatever, I don't care. It's
Yeah.
who's doing it. It doesn't matter to me,
Yeah, yeah.
as
No,
long as they know what they're doing."
I've been fortunate over the years to have some amazing healthcare. Just I've got a lot of I've got quite the alphabet after my name, and none of it has anything to do with PhD.
Yeah,
But
no,
a lot
I
of it
wish
has
it
to do with,
translated.
oh, wouldn't it be nice? Oh
My
yeah,
my
that would
my
be.
cousin actually is a doctor, and she said with how much medical knowledge I have from everything I've gone through and all the stuff I've lived through and having to actually train medical staff at
Mhm.
times, that she's like,
Mhm.
"You really should have an honorary doctorate at least." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome."
Wouldn't it?
But I don't.
Oh wow.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I've lived through, like, okay, at the point where I'd had diabetes for 33 years. I had a
Mhm.
doctor come in and she's like, "What are you doing with your insulin?" I said, "Well, I'm doing sick day dosing." And she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm giving myself like 3 units of my fast acting and seeing where I go within like an hour or 2 and then adjusting accordingly." And she's like,
Mhm.
"That's not right." And I said, "That is what I was taught to do. That is what works for me." And I'm like, "That is what I need to do because I'm not eating much. I'm not feeling well and I don't want to
Yeah.
overdose myself." And she comes out with, are you ready for this one? "Well, I just took a 3-day course and that's not how insulin works." At which point she went out, wrote orders, and I'm like, if I take that much, I'm going to be on the floor in 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
and ironically, at the time as she's saying this, my nephrologist, who's my kidney specialist, was
Mhm.
standing just outside of the room, and I could see her standing there trying to not laugh. And she comes
Oh.
walking in after the other doctor left, and she's like, "The 3-day course, eh?" And I said, "Yeah." So for years, that was our joke when I'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna adjust this like this way. That makes sense." She's like, "I don't know. Do you have a 3-day course on that?"
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, "No, I don't have a 3-day course on that, but I
I have a
do have, like,
33-year.
30 some years of experience."
Exactly. Yeah, it's like when you work in a hospital and you have a brand new doctor who knows everything, right? And you've got a nurse who's been a nurse for 30 something years. And that brand new doctor's like, I just finished medical school and I know this, that, and the other thing. And the nurse is like, yeah, you know nothing.
Yeah,
You can
we
prescribe medication, but you know
we
nothing.
we have a doctor like that in Saskatoon that I've got
Oh,
to
do
deal
we?
with,
Oh
and,
no.
I got left to his care because both my, my surgeon and my kidney specialist both took holidays the same weekend,
Oh
and I
no.
got left to him, and, I needed one of my things refilled, and he said,
Hmm.
"Okay, well, we'll give you." I needed a specific kinda thing, and he said, "Well, we'll just write Metamucil." I said, "No, no, no. Kidney dialysis patients can't take Metamucil. Kidney patients can't do that because for Metamucil, you have to drink a bucket load of water."
Hmm.
And I said, "I
Yeah.
need it to be this brand, this stuff, because what it did was it pulls the water from your body instead."
Right.
And he's like, "No, no, no. Metamucil will work." I said, "No, I can't take Metamucil." He goes, "Oh, do you think you're a doctor?" I said, "No, I just know my conditions very well, thank you." So he went out and doubled the order of Metamucil.
Doubled it.
So when I went to dialysis, I talked to the nephrologist who was on call in dialysis, and he says, "Oh, you were dealing with Doctor So and so," and he's like, "Oh, I wish you would have called me. I love fighting with that man. He's such an idiot."
Oh, wow.
His answer to everything was, "Well, in Calgary."
Because Calgary is almost as good as Toronto, which is the center of the universe.
Yes.
So,
It
yeah.
Well,
Oh
and
my
it's like,
goodness.
yeah, our health system and their health system not the same, and I'm sorry. You are a surgeon. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Your specialty is veins and arteries and things like that. You're not a kidney specialist. I can't take that because of my kidneys. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So let's back up a little bit and talk about some of the illnesses that have happened because, like, to add on to the diabetes
the
or as a
diabetes, yeah,
result of the diabetes.
diabetes itself, this is what I've always said, diabetes itself is not that bad. It's
Hmm.
really an easily manageable disease for the most part. It's
Yep.
all the extra special, as I call them, side effects
Yep.
and special gifts.
Hmm.
So, the most well-known one, of course, is people get kidney disease from diabetes. So, yeah, yay. And you eventually end up with dialysis or transplant, or you pass away because of your kidneys basically giving up on you. It
Wow.
also causes problems with like your veins and arteries, and then your heart and stuff like that. I luckily have not had problems with my heart. Touch
Hmm.
on wood, thank goodness.
Hmm.
Um, Nerve damage, that's one that I've gotten hit with really bad. Um,
Okay.
so, as an example, I hit a point where I was taking martial arts and literally we were doing sprint laps and I wiped out and went hands and knees and chin first into the carpet we were running on. And yeah, nice rug burn there.
Ouch.
And had no idea why I tripped. I had no idea.
Hmm.
And then we started doing grapevines, which is where you're kind of stepping in front of your foot and then behind your foot to go sideways in lines. And it's kind of
Hmm.
an intricate footing thing. And I kept tripping. And I'm like, why am I tripping? I don't understand. And our instructor is also, I think he's a physiotherapist as well, or something along that. Like he's got that kind of
Helpful.
training.
Yeah.
And he said, "Can you stand up on the balls of your feet?" And I was
Hmm.
like, "Of course I can." And he's like, "Do it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that was kind of hard." And he goes, "Can you stand just on your heels?" And I'm like, "Not at all." Which you should be able to stand on your heels and lift the rest of your feet up, but I all of a sudden couldn't do that. And he's like,
Wow.
"You have drop foot." And I'm like, What's drop foot?" And he's like, "That's something that's caused by nerve damage. Go see your doctor." And yeah, so that's when I found out I have drop foot, which means that basically my foot, instead of being, hold on, I got to go this way, instead of
Hmm.
being like 90-degree angle, my foot wants to just flop down like this
Hmm.
because
So what do you do for that?
I can't pull my toes up. So that is why I wear on my one leg a lovely brace.
Mm.
Let's see if I can get it in
Okay.
camera here. There we
Oh,
go.
that's so pretty. You put
So,
little lacing around it, it'll look like a Roman sandal.
well, I have, I'm popping things up on my screen. I have actually one that they just made me last year that is so I can go swimming, and it kind of looks like a hooker boot because it's laces all the way up like a boot, which is kind of neat, and I haven't got to wear it yet. But yeah, so basically what that does is it holds my foot up so I don't trip on my own toes, because that's what was happening is I was literally tripping on my toes.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I also I went through a stage before that hit where I literally like would kind of cry myself to sleep every night because it would hurt on and off through the day, but at night I would feel like my feet were on fire,
Wow.
like literally on fire, and I would cry myself to sleep. And I'm sure my boyfriend at the time was really appreciative of that because I was keeping him awake.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But
Would
yeah,
putting your
it
feet in
was
cold water help you at all for that? Would that relieve anything?
They tried things at first, like the arthritis cream that's got the Caspian or Capsian or whatever that kind of pepper.
Capsaicin.
Yeah, that stuff.
Capsaicin.
They
Yeah,
tried that because that helps some people. Yeah, no, that just made it burn more.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
now that isn't a normal thing. That's because of me and an allergy.
Oh,
I'm
no. Yeah.
allergic to we found it at a very young age after track meet. I am allergic to things like Adsorbine Junior. I break out in hives. It's great
Oh
fun. My
no.
grandma felt
Whoops.
horrible because she had totally just smeared my entire leg with it, and yeah, that was not a pleasant experience. So,
No.
that
Oh
was fun.
wow. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I went through that stage, then I went through a stage where, like, you'd be walking on a floor that's, like, a perfectly level, normal floor with carpet or lino, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like I was walking, like, on a bed of nails
Oh,
because
ouch.
it felt sharp, and
Mm-hmm.
yet
And that's
your
just the nerve endings
yeah,
in your
but
feet.
yet your feet can't feel things. So it's like, well, that makes no sense. Why is it hurting to walk on the floor, but yet I can't feel when somebody pokes me in the bottom of my foot? Like, that's weird.
You're
And
just weird.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am, but that's besides the point. But I mean, I knew what was going on because my dad had the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's mom is probably the most understanding person on the planet, and just when that started happening to my dad, just told him to shut up, and that wasn't a big deal, and just deal with it, which is kind of how she dealt with all of diabetes. Like, you can eat normal food, just deal with it. But,
Here, have another piece of apple pie and deal with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But years later, when she got diabetes and nerve damage hit her within the first few months, she phoned
Wow.
me and she said, "Why is it that I can't feel anything, but it feels like I'm, like, walking on nails?" I said, "That's called nerve damage. Deal with it." And I hung up on her because that's
Woohoo.
kinda how she dealt with it, and I was like, "Yeah, just suck it up, lady. Same as you've been telling me and dad for years. You just suck it up."
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, so nerve damage, that's a big one. Kidney
Mm-hmm.
damage. Another fun one, is at age 30, I got cataracts, the beginning of cataracts. So,
Cataracts.
yeah,
30.
30,
Oh my
30. Might have been
word.
even a few years before that, because I remember saying to the doctor, "What? I'm not even 30. How can I have cataracts? That makes no sense." And he's like,
And
"Diabetes. It
have they
makes
done
perfect."
anything with that since then?
They have been waiting till it got to a certain extent. So actually, next Friday, I go for surgery for my first cataract surgery on my first eyes. So
Yes, yes.
excited, nervous, and scared
Okay.
all at the same time.
And the funny thing is you've had so many medical things done, it
I've
should
had so
just
many
be
surgeries, it should be a joke.
exactly,
But
it should be. But still, that's your eyes.
yeah,
Like, it's
well,
that's a whole
and
'nother
and a special bonus to me is people are like, okay, well, if I lost my eyesight, that would suck, but you learn to adapt. Okay, problem for me is because I can't feel either foot, one, because I don't have it, and one, because of the nerve damage. I rely on my eyes and the visual cueing to balance.
wow.
So, like,
You'd almost be stuck in your wheelchair then,
yeah,
just
yeah,
just by
kind of.
default.
Like, it would take some time. I might eventually be able to deal with it, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
I'm sure I'd eventually figure it out because I've figured out everything else so far. So,
Yeah, yeah, you're actually really good at that, I have to say. That's one thing I admire about you is your ability to be flexible, your ability to put up with a whole pile of crap, because I mean, you put up with me. So, um, but on top of that, you are somebody who adapts and takes things with a grain of salt. You have a lot more grace when it comes to dealing with people than a lot of people would. And I think it may be to do with the fact that you've had to have that much grace shown to you over the
well,
years
and I
as
mean,
well.
that's partially from my parents and my grandparents too. Like,
Mhm.
my mom always said, "So you have diabetes, whatever. There's people that have worse things." And I'm like, "Yep,
Yeah.
that's true." Like, I have
Yeah.
a blind and deaf cousin. He was born blind and deaf, and I was like, "At least I don't have that."
Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
it's just, it's how you look at things, and it's like,
And speaking of looking things, there we go.
Okay, hold on. I turned off my camera lead. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, I have my phone turned the complete opposite way now. Now I
That's
gotta
okay.
turn the opposite. Okay, hold on. I gotta switch. Sorry, everybody. La, la, la.
Getting dizzy.
No, really, I'm doing cartwheels.
Woohoo! I can't feel my feet. Watch me tumble.
That's something I could never do with cartwheels ever. I'm not a gymnast. Not a
Yeah.
gymnast. I do not
Yeah.
have those kind of skills. Ah, I mean, that might have been handy. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah,
wouldn't it?
so yeah, like there's fun things that you get to do, like a lot more blood work, a lot more
Yeah.
blood. Um, and just like all of your other systems in your body get taxed by things. So like, okay, my list of things is I have nerve damage, which is yeah, fun. I have problems with my eyes. Besides the cataracts, I also have retinopathy. So, unlike everywhere else in your body, your eyes, when they don't get enough blood, grow new blood vessels.
Oh.
But those blood vessels are incredibly weak and flimsy and brittle. So then
Mm.
they burst and you end up with an eye bleed, which is bad because that can literally cause you to lose your eyesight.
Oh, wow.
So, um, for quite some time, I used to go and have to get laser surgery, but not the kind that makes it so you don't have to wear glasses. It's literally where they go in with the lasers and zap all those little blood vessels so that they're basically cauterizing them so they don't
Yeah.
burst in your eyes.
Oh,
And
wow.
that has the bad side effect of it can affect your night vision and your peripheral vision because you now have little laser scars everywhere in the backs of your
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
So they're now doing a different thing. They're using they do injections in your eye of
Mm.
Avastin, which I think is like a heart medication, if I remember right. But it
Okay.
basically like restricts the blood flow somehow. And
Okay.
so that is they have found is way better than doing the lasers because
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't add all that scarring to the back of your eyes.
Much
However,
less invasive.
that is something that's not covered.
Oh, of
So
course. Yeah.
those are $70 a needle.
And how many
So
of you had to do?
I don't know. Um, and usually when you have to do one, you go back in like 3 to 6 weeks and you do another one, and then another 3 to 6 weeks and you do another one. So
Oh,
if you're thinking
wow.
about that and you're doing both eyes, that adds up quick.
Wow. $140 every 3 weeks. That's more than I could afford, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're doing that when you're living on disability. Even more of a fun challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, and you are living on disability, right?
Right now, yes. I'm getting
Okay.
closer to going back to work. I'm getting closer. When my dentist's office this year told me that they were looking for new receptionists, I was literally like, I'm getting there. I'm not like, "Yeah, have fun, good luck." I was actually like, well, nope, not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
See, I'm not on disability, for 2 reasons. Number 1, my husband's an engineer and he makes enough money that
they think
technically
you're fine.
they think we're fine.
Yeah,
Forget the fact that, inflation and all of that stuff has happened over the years with COVID and whatever. Um, but
yeah.
I didn't apply for it soon enough. I
Oh, yeah,
was
because
too
nobody
sick
tells you that
to
you gotta
apply.
do that.
That's right,
Yeah.
and that's exactly right, yes, yeah. No, my doctors were like, "No, you're not quite disabled enough yet." And yet the disability people are like, "No, you were." And so it's kinda my doctor's fault that I'm not on disability, and mine is for mental issues, it's not for
Yeah,
physical issues.
it doesn't matter.
So well, no, exactly, that's exactly right. Had I lost a foot, they would probably be a little bit kinder.
They probably would've been like, "Now's the time to start applying." Yeah,
Yes, exactly, that's exactly right.
but
But
unfortunately,
no,
we're really behind on mental health.
are we ever?
Really,
Yep.
really.
Yeah, even my psychiatrist. She's the one who kept saying, "No, you're not disabled enough. You're not disabled enough." And it's like, well, I'm disabled enough that I can't work a regular job. I can barely work part-time. And when I'm talking barely part-time, I'm talking like, I don't know, 30 hours every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah.
Isn't
And so by the time I
isn't
paid
enough.
for it,
That's not enough
sorry?
to keep you alive.
No, it sure isn't. No. By then, like after gas to get to town, I
Oh
live
yeah.
outside of the city. So after gas to get to town, I'm essentially volunteering to go to work.
Yeah. Yay. Yeah.
Yay.
And nobody wants to do that.
No, exactly.
I mean,
That's
I mean,
exactly right.
I'm not saying you don't want to volunteer for things. I'm just saying you need to actually make money when you're going to work.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't put up with a lot of crap in order just to go there, right?
To pay for gas
So,
to get
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So yeah.
paid for gas just to get
So
abused. Woohoo.
yeah. So eye things. I
Yes,
have
sorry.
no, it's okay. I have gastroparesis, which basically means I have nerve damage to my gastrointestinal system. So the test
Ah.
for that, how they determined that was they basically injected a hard-boiled egg with a whole bunch of like radiation and made me eat two of them dry with nothing, no water. It was great.
Mm.
And they tasted really funky weird because of whatever they put in them.
It would taste very sulfuric, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was really gross.
Ew.
And then and they were really badly hard-boiled eggs too, might I add. Uh, and then they tested I think it was like every hour or every 2 hours to test where this food was in my system. And at the point where the normal, quote unquote, normal person would have had the food 98% of the way through their system, it was 2% through mine.
Wow. So what does that do for your body? Like that must cause a lot of bloating.
It does. It does. And I have to eat slowly and I have to eat kind of smaller and be careful about how much I eat. So
Mhm.
like my a couple of my past roommates used to laugh that supper was at 5, but I was still eating at 8. Because
Wow.
I'd sit and eat at the table with everybody else, and then I'd just
Mhm.
pick up my plate and walk back to my room and continue eating for the next several hours.
Yeah.
So it's just
See, I don't have
what it is.
gastroparesis. Is that what it's called? Gastroparesis?
Gastroparesis.
Okay.
'Cause
I
it's
don't
like
have that, but
basically
I
a
sorry?
it's basically paralysis of your gastro system. So
Okay. So I did have gastric bypass surgery. So my stomach is about the size of a walnut or a golf ball. And
yeah,
like yourself, I can't eat very much, but I do eat too fast and I end up hurting myself all the
yeah,
time. Just, yeah, I need to slow down. And the food addiction that I deal with is like if it tastes good, I want it in there as fast as possible. And then,
sorry. Kitty Kitty has decided it's cuddle time. This is
hello,
Penny.
kitty.
This is
Hi,
Penny.
Penny. Oh
She's
my
like,
goodness.
"You've been in here for so long and I haven't got cuddles."
Oh my goodness. She's a hairless, is it a Sphinx cat?
Yes, yes, she is.
Okay. Oh
And
my
she's a
goodness.
very affectionate kitty, and I'm her person. So the fact that she hasn't been in here sooner is actually surprising. She was probably cuddled up under the blankets out in the other room.
Yeah. Or in the bathroom. Doesn't she go underneath the
Yes,
towels?
she goes under the towels and uses them like a sauna.
Yes. Yeah. Oh wow.
But yeah,
Okay. So it looks like you're in need there. She looks like a tortoise shell. She has that
she is.
tortoise shell
Yeah,
coloring.
she does. Which is probably if she had hair, what she
Yes.
would be.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's unique.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
cool.
Okay. All right.
She's cool. But yeah,
So
so yeah,
going back to what diabetes does to your system, what my doctor, when I was diagnosed, said was it's not because you're overweight and it's
nope,
not because you ate too much sugar. It's
nope.
because genetically speaking, you have a predisposition and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and
So,
for
like,
me, my because my dad was a diabetic as well.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
we have actually found that there's a history in our family of another father and daughter that had diabetes back in our
Okay.
family tree.
Okay.
So
Something
we
else
are
that he
not even
said,
the first.
right. Something else that he said is when you have too much sugar in your veins, it's going to be liquid, but there's still enough crystal to it that a reason it wrecks your veins is because it's like it's scraping along the sides of them. So it's
Yeah,
physically wearing it down. It's not just chemically, it's
yeah,
physically scraping.
yeah,
And when you think of it, it's like, wow, that kind of makes sense. But is that ever scary? Because it's liquid. You can't see that there are crystals. They're microscopic.
yeah.
But that's
And
probably why the eye damage and everything else
yeah,
with the blood vessels and all of that
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Okay.
All the vascular fun stuff. But
Yeah.
I have found out some good things like my last foot injury.
Hmm.
Um, they were concerned that it might not heal because I burnt my feet in 2014, the bottoms of my 2 feet,
Hmm.
which will be the story about the amputation. Um, Hi, Penny.
Hi, Penny.
Anyway,
Okay.
um, but from that, I had very deep tissue damage, and it took
Yes.
a few years for it to finally surface on my other foot. And when
Oh,
it
yeah.
did, when they cut away all the bad tissue, I ended up with a 5 centimeter diameter hole in the bottom of the ball of my foot, which went right down to the bone and the tendon.
Okay, so 5 centimeters, for those of you who don't know, is about 2 inches.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
So a 2 inch
translation.
hole.
Yeah, it was the
Wow.
whole ball of my foot, basically.
Wow.
And, my vascular surgeon literally told me that had I have not already had my transplant, I would have lost that foot too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, we're going to stop here, and we're going to talk more about the burns that you had on your feet
yeah,
and the transplant in our next conversation. So, thank you so much, Sam, for joining us. Thank you for being willing to open up. Um, if there's anything else that you have for us, is there anything that you want to give us as a final thought for right now?
always wear your shoes.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
That'll lead into the next conversation. Always wear shoes.
Always wear shoes. Good supportive shoes, not just any shoes.
Well, no,
So,
just shoes cover the bottoms of your feet. That's the important thing. But yes, yes, good supportive shoes too. But like even when you go to the pool, wear shoes.
like those swim shoes.
Yeah, yeah,
That
wear
oh,
shoes.
there you go. Yeah, it just protects your feet.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Sam. It was good to have you, and I will talk to you in a little while. Bye bye.
Sounds good. Bye.